This incredibly busy news day, want to take a moment now to look ahead to this weekend's Bills game hosting the Steelers. For most of the last few decades, Pittsburgh has been one of the best teams in the league. Steelers haven't had a losing record since 2003, 2 championships amid 4 trips to the Super Bowl since the 90s. But things are different this Sunday with a Pittsburgh team that's off to a 1-3 start and handing things over to a rookie quarterback. And for the first time in the franchise's storied history, the Steelers are a 14-point underdog. Well, that may be a bit of a pessimistic way to bring in our next guest. Brian Batko is the Steelers beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Nice to have you on the show. We like doing these segments where we talk to someone who really knows the opposing team. And all of the talk leading up to this game Sunday is about Kenny Pickett, of course, so we'll kind of start there. Some might see it as being thrown to the wolves when you've got a rookie making his first start against one of the best defenses in the league, though it is a defense right now missing some key players to injury in terms of the Bills. Is there hope there in the Steel City that Pickett's going to have some success this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. And, interestingly enough, some of those pieces who are filling in for the injured players are Kenny Pickett's former teammates at the University of Pittsburgh here, as far as Dane Jackson and DeMar Hamlin go. So he does have a little bit of familiarity with them, as they do with him. And, when it comes to Kenny Pickett making this first start in such a difficult circumstance, what's, fascinating to me, the parallels of his story, he made his first college start for Pitt as a true freshman against number 2 ranked Miami back then and won that game. I was at home. That was not in a raucous road environment, but he's one of these first-round picks who he's not coming from a Miami or an Alabama or an Ohio State or a Clemson where they were always the top dog. He's been through a lot of adversity playing at Pitt, and he kind of helped that program rise. So he's been here before. He told us in the locker room on Wednesday, the outside world sees us as underdogs, but we don't.
We've talked a lot here in Buffalo about the Bills' pass catchers kind of dropping like flies, down to just 3 healthy receivers last Sunday. The run game outside of Josh Allen hasn't shown up a ton, although there have been a few moments here and there. How does the Steelers' defense kind of match up here against the Bills?
Well, they match up perfectly considering they've got a bunch of secondary members dropping like flies. Their defensive backs have been all over the injury report so far this week. It doesn't look like they are going to have outside cornerback Kella Witherspoon and possibly strong safety Terrell Edmonds, Tremaine's brother, as well. But Minkah Fitzpatrick and Cam Sutton are a couple guys who they might be good to go, but are they fully healthy? We won't know. Even Levi Wallace, former Bills corner, was on the injury report to start the week. So they're kind of in the same boat as far as that goes. The run defense, much maligned since last year when they were last in the NFL in stopping the run. They got gashed 2 weeks ago against the Browns in a loss up there in Cleveland on Thursday night. And even the Jets were able to run the ball against them at the end of that loss on Sunday. So, something's got to give there with the Steelers defense. They've been a disappointment thus far with star player TJ Watt on injured reserve. Other guys are going to have to step up. And in this case, that means, continuing to keep the Bills run game down, but also matching up with the likes of these Bills pass catchers as long as they're healthy enough to play.
Finally, Brian, it's just a 3-hour drive from where I am to where you are, and this is going to actually be the 4th year in a row that these two teams have played. The Bills won 2 of those. Before that, the Steelers were on a 10-1 streak dating all the way back to the 90s. Is there some sort of rivalry, you think, brewing between these two franchises?
Well, maybe they can blame me. This is my 4th season covering the Steelers for the Post-Gazette, and you saw how things have gone. But yeah, it's funny. Mike Tomlin said on Tuesday that it almost feels like a divisional game for them at this point with how often they've played the Bills. I think back to that 2019, I believe it was a Sunday night game in Pittsburgh where Ben Roethlisberger was hurt and the Bills ran roughshod over Devlin Hodges, the Steelers' 3rd-string quarterback. And it felt like that's when things were really turning for Buffalo. And, a couple years ago, again, they got the better of the Steelers during the COVID season. And week 1 last year, the Steelers pulled a stunner, and that score didn't make much sense when you got to the end of the season and saw how well the Bills were playing and how the Steelers were struggling. But this is going to be yet another chapter in the role reversal of, I'd call it a rivalry. I think there's some former Bills over here now. It's cool to see some Pittsburgh local guys having success with Buffalo. And like you said, the proximity is one of those that Makes it feel the closest thing that you can get to AFC North football here for the Steelers that isn't actually a divisional game. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun there Sunday.
Well, I have a lot of family members who are Steelers fans, so there's certainly a rivalry within my family. Brian Batko, Steelers beat reporter for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Thanks so much for coming on and giving us the perspective from down in Pittsburgh.
Anytime. See you guys.